I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. I had a very, very good connection with someone to kind of purchase these products at a good price. It's been ongoing for 4 or 5 years. My supplier ended up telling me one day that a few things have changed and now I need to end up paying more for the stock that I was getting. I wasn't getting, pennies here. I was getting 8 cases. So we're talking about sometimes over 100 boxes of a certain game. And we're talking about doing that 4 times a year for 2 or 3 different games every 3 months. He told me that he wanted me to pay $30 more per box. Wasn't a $5 increase, wasn't a $10 increase where I could probably think to myself, I can manage. It was $30 a box, over 100 boxes, that's $3,000. If I was making $1,500 on a set, $2,000 on a set, let's just say, and then all of a sudden you're now asking me for $3,000 on top of what I was already paying you, I'm literally like giving you 15 to 20 grand for something that will happen in 6 months that I don't even know is going to do well. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is insanity. I can't do it. Like, the business is now finished.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming back again. Darcy, Palms Off Gaming. Today we've got a very special guest and essentially next door neighbour to the warehouse, Umit.
Hello guys, how you going? Thanks for having me, Darcy.
No dramas. Where are you from? What do you do? Where's your store?
Yeah, so as you said, literally, I almost want to say across the road, 4 Prime Street, Thomastown. We own Blacklist Cards and Collectables. Normally based out in the West, I guess you can say, but we thought that we'd try and make a name for ourselves down here. And yeah, we've kind of been around, I guess, online, I want to say, for the past 1.5 years now. And yeah, I guess we wanted to really dip our toes into the physical store, customer-facing side of things and see if that kind of pushes us further and takes off.
Sick. So for all those who don't know, Umit also runs the largest group for Fusion in Australia.
Yeah. So I think we hit 2,000 members just a couple of weeks ago, and then it's obviously still growing with more and more attention being paid to Dragon Ball Fusion World.
Yeah.
DCG.
So Fusion being like obviously a newer version of the Dragon Ball IP, sometimes hard to. I know a lot of stores struggle to find a player base. So you don't have to worry about that at Umit store because you've got a great player base.
I think, like, honestly, we're probably one of the biggest.
You are the biggest, yeah. I've been to many stores. Yeah. And I'm out east as well. And I'll go out around there and I'll still come out to you guys. I'll finish it studio here and I'm like, cool. I know that I'll have
someone to play against and the event will run. Yeah, and we obviously appreciate you.
And they're good dudes as well.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
It's a great bunch of people. So we're very grateful for kind of this game coming out at the right time and us obviously picking it up and everyone coming down and making it the place to play.
Yeah. So if you are looking for someone to play, somewhere to play rather, definitely consider even making the trip out. Like I would thoroughly recommend. It's fantastic. Like good energy, small business. Everybody that goes there is really lovely, nice, get along with. You'll have an awesome time. Yeah. So well done. You've created a really good space. So I'm stoked with it.
Thank you.
And I'm really stoked that it's down the road. I just have to walk. I park my car here and I walk. It's great. Yeah. So in the TCG space, you've obviously started off selling off on Facebook and all that sort of stuff, and you've established a group. And so what was the progression? What's your history and progression to what's led you to be where you are now?
I mean, you kind of mentioned that obviously Fusion World is the newest adaptation of like their trading card game, right? And they've obviously got an older one now, which is called Masters for like the more experienced players or people that want to have a bigger challenge. So I got into that when it first got announced, I want to say 7 years ago now. And at the time, like we think back 7 years ago, there wasn't this many trading card games. Facebook was obviously, I want to say, not as popular as it is now to sell into groups, to talk to people, to really do all these dealings. It's a lot of eBay. It was like Gumtree, for example. It's crazy because I went from like opening 2 or 3 boxes for my own personal collection and to just obviously make a deck and play at Locals Weekly to then going into like buying a case of every set and then selling singles to people that I didn't need. So then slowly, I kind of made a name for myself where people would see me every 3 months popping up and being like, I've got all these to sell. And some people would even expect it from me, I guess, after a while because they'd know that I was doing it. And they would be like, oh, I'll buy off you next time. Can you private message me before you put it live on groups? And do you have any of this or are you ordering any of this? Like, can you tell me if you might get this and this and I'm looking for this and this and I'll give you my list and can you do this? So it slowly built on myself, I guess, more so than that. Like, we didn't have a business name. It was just my personal name. And yeah, honestly, it went from like, again, 3 boxes to like 6 boxes to a case to 2 cases to 3 cases. The more TCGs that came out, we just kind of, I just kind of kept going. I guess I just, broadened my horizons, started spending a little bit more cash to kind of test the waters.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we're looking at pretty much dabbling into every game that, is out there right now. So that's kind of, I don't know. It's just a journey that's kind of where it started, where we are kind of thing.
Yeah, the guys were excited to know that you were going to start doing Commander now as well. We're like, we might just zip down there instead, because we used to play here.
Yep.
Or they do. I've just recently sort of got into it, but they were always considering, we might just pop down there and have a play. So it's really cool. So outside of, you played Masters and now Fusion is there. Obviously, we talked before the podcast, you did One Piece a little bit, but what other TCGs do you play, main, or dabble in?
So kind of like what you said, obviously Commander's obviously an option there. It's very rare for me to sit down and play Commander. Like I kind of feel like I need to be in the mood. And a lot of the other guys that come down, the group of people really love testing. And because there's so many events that you can kind of join into these days in terms of higher scale, higher rewards, it feels like I spend more of my time and they spend a lot of their time playing those games on repeat, getting better, coming to the shop, asking if I want to join in, stuff like that. So I don't really get much time to play other games on top of obviously running the store. I usually only join in when there's like odd numbers. I don't want someone to sit there for 40 minutes and then I'll obviously grab a deck and play with them. But
the one time that he played, he waxed me with Top Coup as well. I was playing Cell at the time, and I had such data hands.
Yeah, it was so
like
unfair.
the worst. It was the worst draws ever. And then Top Coup was already cracked, and he just gets this board. I'm like, have it, bro. That's fine.
But yeah, look, we've got obviously Yu-Gi-Oh, Shadowverse, Vanguard. You've already mentioned that we actually do Magic Standard as well on top of Commander. Digimon, Pokemon as well. Can't obviously forget that. But yeah, pretty much just like everything's in the shop. I would love to get into more. Just a lot of time investment that I don't think I have. So
you also have the knowledge for it as well, which is hard. Like running a TCG shop would be very hard. Like the amount of knowledge that you would have to have. And then also it's like capital too. Like a lot of people are buying their robotic sorting machines and stuff, but they're not cheap.
No way.
They're not cheap. They're going to maintain them. You got to do a lot. Like it's a big step. And on that topic as well, like you're transitioning from your full-time role into now being at the store. So tell me how that transition happened, and also how you went from Facebook selling to pulling the trigger and deciding, hey, I want to open a full store. And then if I have to add to that again a layer of complexity, why Thomastown? I know you mentioned, we make it in the West, but
yeah. Look, the story is actually a wild one, and I've told a couple of people, and I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. I had a very, very good connection with someone to kind of purchase these products at a good price, and it's been ongoing for 4 or 5 years. And then we kind of had an idea because we were making content as well, and I was doing my singles on the side. And then I said to the guys, do you want to do an even bigger project? Why don't we jump into selling singles altogether? Like, we work well together. We've already got our names out there. My name is still very popular at this point. As you've mentioned, we kind of made a group, 2,000 members already in there. We're only 3 sets in. So people know who I am. You put that behind, a card shop or like anything relative to TCGs, people feel a lot more confident. It's not just this random person that just made a website, doesn't have an ABN, or I've never heard of you before, and all of a sudden you're selling boxes at like $50, $100 cheaper. So it's like that was the natural progression for us. And then we obviously went online. We sold singles, and then this is obviously where it gets to the story. My supplier ended up telling me one day that a few things have changed, and now I need to end up paying more for the stock that I was getting. And the thing is, I wasn't getting, pennies here. I was getting 8 cases. So we're talking about, sometimes over 100 boxes of a certain game. And we're talking about doing that 4 times a year for 2 or 3 different games every 3 months. So like you mentioned, the capital had to be there, and it's you got to get it at a good price, and you got to sell it at a good price, and then you can keep going.
You also got to be able to move it.
Well, that's the thing. You're taking a risk, right? And the scary thing is in TCGs, you buy one wrong product or you buy too much of one wrong product and you're finished.
Yeah.
And that's obviously one of my biggest fears. And, touch wood, obviously I haven't done so far, but you keep that in the back of your mind. Like you have to do insane amounts of research. Otherwise one wrong move and you just pack up. So anyway, he told me that he wanted me to pay $30 more per box. Wasn't a $5 increase, wasn't a $10 increase where I could probably think to myself, I can manage. It was $30 a box. Over 100 boxes, that's $3,000. So if I was making $1,500 on a set, $2,000 on a set, let's just say, and then all of a sudden you're now asking me for $3,000 on top of like what I was already paying you, and mind you, I'm paying this in 6 months in advance to lock in my allocation.
Yeah, and you've got to make a profit on top of it
exactly.
too.
Yeah. So cash flow shot after 6 months, like you may as well invest that somewhere and get a ROI on it.
Well, you know what I mean? Like I'm literally like giving you 15 to 20 grand for something that will happen in 6 months that I don't even know is going to do well. And then I have to go through the whole process of opening that many boxes, that many cases, shipping everything out, hoping that I pull obviously the higher end cards, and then that way I can even make a little bit more money or less stress over the period. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is insanity. I can't do it. Like the business is now finished. Like I what do I do? This was my only connection. And then when it came down to it, I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to pay $3,000 every 3 months for one game extra, why don't I just look and do it myself? Like, why don't I just go out there and find a lease that's going to be in the same bracket of what I was going to pay extra? Because then I will do my work, I will get the cost price, and it will feel like that if I do this, then I'll be at the same door, but I'll have a business for myself. I'll be building my own brand instead of helping someone else make money. So why not? Like the name is there. I've been doing it for so long. I kind of feel like this is my passion. So that's what I did. That's exactly what happened. I started looking around. This was late last year. I think it was November. I ended up coming across this place just here in Thomastown. And yeah, I had a good chat with the owner. I told him what I was interested in paying, if that was possible. And he said he'd think about it. Mind you, obviously at that same time, I was looking at the western suburbs, looking at all the other stores that are already down there, and how much they actually wanted me to pay. It's almost like 2 to 2.5 times more than what I was hoping to get this one for. So he said to me, yeah, we can make it work. Like we want to see you succeed. We're happy to give you the trial run that you want. And it was kind of like all under my terms as well. I said, let's do it for 6 months. It's a
you got a lease for 6 months.
Yeah.
That's
I know. Everyone says the same thing to me. Everyone says the same thing to me. It was crazy. It was
is
just
it
like,
sublet from the company?
It
That makes sense.
It is.
Yeah.
But it was just like, yeah, look, if you don't mind, I'll do it for 6 months. And I was going to Japan at that time. So I actually held it for 2 months and paid for it just to make sure that I could get it when I came back.
Yeah.
So we opened up in March, 3 months after. But yeah, it was a 6-month trial. And because I had a full-time job at the time, it was a lot of work. Obviously, I would just finish my job, drive straight down to Thomastown, 45 minutes, 50 minutes in the traffic, and just work every day. And I didn't want to do weekends because it was like, then I'm really gone. Then it's like 7 days, haven't stopped. Like, we're talking about 15-hour days, plus the research and everything else that I got to do on top. But it was the fact that I got this for the price that I was happy to pay that I could actually then, kind of put my time and effort. And I knew that it wasn't going to be like that forever. So in the contract, I also said if it works out after 6 months, I would like there to be an opportunity for me to extend for a year. And he said, that's fine. If you actually works out for you, then, and you're a good tenant, then yeah, like we're more than happy to have you for another year, because then he doesn't have to look. Then it's like, we don't have to find someone else. And then I don't have to look somewhere else as well. It's very beneficial.
Relocation fees as well.
It's just getting all that stuff out there and then trying to start again is insane. Yeah. So here we are. Now it's actually been, I think, 7 months since I opened physically, and we're looking to actually expand it. Like it's going to be a full-time thing. No one actually knows this except for my partner, obviously. But yeah, we're going to look to actually make this a proper thing. Run from 10 o'clock in the morning all the way to 10 o'clock at night. Open on the weekends as we already do. Maybe have like 2 nights that we don't run. and then just kind of bring in the collection side of things because we changed our name from Blacklist Cards to Blacklist Cards and Collectables, and really just have a reason for us to be open during the day. There's a cafe literally next door. Tradies will come in or come on their lunch break, or people go to the gym across the road. As you can obviously see from outside the window, there's so many other trades that are obviously here and so many warehouse guys.
Yeah.
If a set comes out, you don't have to wait for like the Friday night to come and open it. Like if you want to do it during the day or you pre-ordered it and you've got something, then
just wander around the corner,
swing past and come
there was
and
a
grab it.
really good stat. We were at the for the Oz National, which was just passed. There was like a pre sort of party-ish thing with eBay hosting. So we went to that, and they released some really cool stats about how many people are collectors. Do you remember the stat? It was some ridiculously
I wasn't
high
at the
number.
pre-party.
Oh, you weren't? No, you weren't.
That's Jack.
Yeah, it was some ridiculous number, like 60% or something like that, or even a higher number of Australians are collectors of some variety to some degree. So, and they're obviously, that's why you see them doubling, tripling down so heavily. It's such a normalized thing now, which is sick. But yeah, like I feel like, it's a good niche to have because tradesmen, if they're not into it, I'm sure as shit if they have kids, they're into it sort of thing. You know?
Yeah. And we look at sports cards as well, right? Like even if you don't care about the Pokemons or the Dragon Balls or anything like that, or, you think it's nerdy or whatever it is, you might still collect sports cards. And
NBA,
that's something.
massive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. MLB, like, they've even got Australian, sports cards now. Like we're talking about, AFL.
We talked to one of the boys down at your shop and he was like, oh, WWE.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's things that you might not know that are actually there, but somehow it will grab the attention of someone that is actually interested in that kind of stuff. So hopefully one day we can actually bring that to our shop as well and really captivate that audience and capture that demographic. But it's a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things.
It's been really cool because it wouldn't have been long after you opened that I sort of popped my head in and I was like, hey, bomb my shit now.
Yeah. I think I reached out to you actually because someone said, like, make sure you...
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, you're down the corner, I'll pop. I got your application.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it's literally down the road. I'll just pop in and say hi.
Yeah, you were literally like, oh, there's a stone throws away. Like, I'll literally come down and see you like one night. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then now that I'm here, I'm like, you literally mean stone throw away.
You can walk down and grab your stuff. Yeah, it's great. So and I walked in and then even looking at it like then to as it is now, like you can see it fill and fill, which is really like warmth in my heart.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
It's really good to see like, friends succeeding. You've done a
really
good job.
So. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like my biggest goal when we did this was to, as you mentioned about the community, side of things, I want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable. There's enough spaces for everyone to play and we're not turning people away. A lot of these stores and a lot of these things are all about sales first and then player base later. And for me, as you've mentioned, and for anyone that's obviously seen the store before, there's not really much items on display on the walls anywhere. You got figurines, you've got, the Pokeballs, you've got posters, you've got like, pops on the wall.
It's like 3/4 player.
Yeah. And
nuts.
we fit 64. Like we're going to bring that down because we never fill it. And then I will actually start putting in like the collection stuff. So then that way we do grab more people's attention. But I still want to be able to have a nice space for everyone that isn't too tight. They're not sweating. They're not like touching each other.
Yeah.
It gets really packed where you just don't enjoy yourself. Like I want people to come back. I want people to be like, oh yeah, I can kind of move around and navigate without feeling like I'm going to hit something.
Or yell over the top of each other.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So that was my biggest focus, and I'm glad that, we've kind of lived off that and it's come to where it is now.
Yeah, that's great. What are your like the biggest challenges you've faced since having a store? Because I'm sure there's been a few, but what has been the biggest or couple of the biggest battles or challenges you faced since opening?
Can you do cheaper?
I thought it cheaper here.
Look, I worked at Good Guys for 6 years, and that was their motto: pay less, pay cash.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, and I heard that every day. And when I left, I thought I'd never hear it again. And here we are.
But I have cash.
We'll get into that. But that is one thing that I think I hear a lot. And it's very hard. And a lot of people don't understand. And I get it. There are online stores everywhere that don't pay for overheads, that don't pay for the bills, that don't pay for a staff member, that don't pay, for their time and so on and so forth. And all they do is they just put it online. They pay Shopify $15 a month. And, they sell it at cost price.
Yep.
just to get people involved in their website and hoping that they'll buy something else. But we don't have that luxury.
There's always a new person that's popping up to establish a loss leader approach to gain traction.
Absolutely.
And then inevitably it fails. Some succeed, but there's always a constant turnover of new accounts trying to do that loss leader to develop a consumer base. And so you're perpetually stuck in a cycle of people comparing it to online.
Absolutely.
So it is hard. Yeah.
Absolutely. The other thing that kind of really took me off guard was how much work and grind you have to actually put in. You know, you look at trading cards and it's fun. You open it up, you play your games with your friends, you have a laugh, you look at the new set reveals for like whatever game you're interested in. Oh, this looks good, that looks good. But behind the scenes, you have to actually have these relationships with distributors. You have to find who the distributor is. You then have to not only, order stock off the distributor, you then have to deal with the creator of the game or like the company that runs their organized play, and then make sure that they're on board with you actually running events for them. So it's like, I think I've got like 6 to 7 distributor accounts, and then that's not including the organized play, people that I have to talk to. It's like, you're dealing with like 10 to 15 different people, sometimes every day, trying to make sure that this piece aligns with this piece, and making this person happy, and trying to put some of your investment into here or investment into there, or like sometimes sets come out all at the same time, and it is very. It just soaks up a lot of your money. Like, if you don't have that capital behind you, you can get very stuck. And like I said, previously and before, like if you make a wrong move, that's going to eat at you. Like if I buy 10 cases of Fusion World for the next set, as an example, that comes out in a couple of weeks, or if for people watching that's already out, if I don't move half of that, then I've just got like so much money sitting at the store that I cannot reinvest into products that people actually want. Yeah. And that is one thing that has burned me already. And now I'm so cautious about what I buy and not overbuying and not having it sit there in the shop. I would rather have people, ask me the question of like, oh, do you have any of this? How come you don't have any of this? Because I'm not being stuck with 10 boxes of a $300 Yu-Gi-Oh product that is now sitting there and $3,000 is just staring at me in the face every time I look in the glass cabinet.
Yeah.
You don't know. People will tell you like this set is fantastic. They will say like, oh, there's so many good cards in here. But then when you get it, it's like, oh, I went and brought it over here, or I went and done this. So it's like not only listening to what people tell you, you have to do your own research as well. And I think people just kind of get caught in the moment. They're like, oh, this does look good. Yeah. I'm just going to go into this and I'm going to slam, everything on there. And it's like, well, you're kind of done for now. And that's probably some of the biggest things I would say in this business that I think people don't really get to see behind the scenes of.
Because I imagine you get stuck in a negative cycle where, as you said, like a lot of sets get released and it's so frequent. So if you have your money tied up, you miss the boat here. You miss the boat there. You miss the boat here. And then you just can't make your money back. Yeah. And even then, like TCGs, the margins on TCG aren't fantastic. It's hard. And it is a lot of work because, if you particularly if you're selling singles, if you're manually laboring and people have got like machines that are doing it now because they have the capital to buy them.
That's right.
Then it's like, now I'm competing with machines.
That's right.
Naturally, that's where everything is gearing. So I think it's just determining like a higher cost of entry into owning a TCG store, because in someday in probably the near future, having a machine to do sorting for you or the bulk of the labor is going to be almost a prerequisite to selling singles. And then you've got a lot of the companies that will gatekeep that with very heavy subscription fees and all that sort of stuff. And, we're in Australia, we're a small island. Who's servicing it? Something goes wrong. I've got to wait a month to get a part. Is the part sold out? It's just a plethora of like...
and if there are subscription fees, they're either going to be in USD or Euro. Oh yeah. So you're paying all that too.
Yep. So it's a tough gig to get into. So a lot of the times when I'm talking with store owners, like particularly small business owners such as yourself, it comes from a place of passion. So it's good to see you're still keeping it alive and you've balanced it to a degree, so it hasn't killed it for you, which is awesome.
Yeah. I think I love it now more than ever. It's just, and seeing the players happy or seeing the people buy a product and seeing them actually like pull that rare card.
They're ecstatic.
It's insane.
The energy.
It's different. Like I used to be like that. When we were kids, when you used to buy a Pokemon pack, as an example, 25 years ago, and you pulled like a Gyarados or you got a Charizard, like a holo, you pulled a holo and you were like, oh, this is awesome. It's the greatest day ever.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's gone now because so many people have much more money to spend. Like we're buying boxes we're buying cases.
Yeah, it's not like a one in, like, you're not getting it so infrequently. It's like, oh, I'm an adult, I'll just go buy another one.
Exactly.
I'm actually keep chasing that dopamine, brother.
Well, that's what it is. So that's why I'm very grateful to see that I can give these guys what I had if they didn't have it. And you said there's new TCG players all the time. So it's great to see these guys like coming into it and seeing where they start off and where their journey ends up going as well.
Yeah. And you attracted some really good names as well. I mean, I know Ryan from PX3 frequently plays at the store, and he's a friendly dude as well. And you've got all the people that, as I already mentioned, are really friendly. Did you know a majority of those through Masters, or are some of them like people that you've met from opening your store?
A lot of people were from playing, and it's funny that you bring up Ryan, because me and Ryan used to do content before this, and then it was actually
what type of content?
We let us say. We were actually double sleeve back in the day on YouTube, and we used to
I remember that.
We used to commentate like the Masters events, and we used to do like table ones, and it was quite fun. Like we kind of obviously built a relationship, to kind of keep pushing, and I think I actually gave the idea to Ryan and said, since we work well together, do you want to start doing singles? And like,
is he one of your
co-owners? He was one. Well, he was one of the original.
Because I know that you can cut this as well, Jacob, if we don't want to include that. I was looking at your business registration. It's owned by 3 people.
That's the old. That's the old one.
It's the old one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that hopefully should be closed, and then there's a brand new one that kind of opened up just under my name. So
that's the Blacklist Cards and Collectables.
I think so, or like the Soul Trader, which is like my name that has Blacklist Cards and Collectables on it. But what happened was like we did it for I think the first like 4 or 5 months, maybe not even that long, to be honest with you. And I hope this is like it's not really a negative. So hopefully, I don't get any lash for it. But Ryan just said to me one day, opening so many cards and doing this business has really taken the fun out of playing the game.
I could see it.
No,
trust me. It was a grind. It's not for everyone.
No.
Packing a $5 order with like 60 commons is not for everyone. No. It's not even for me. I don't even want to do it. But you have to. And I understand where he was coming from. And my goal at that time that we opened the website was to one day take this to a store level and then hopefully push even further.
Yeah.
And to keep going and going. So it's just more the respect that, people give me and say to me, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, you'd rather the transparency.
Absolutely. I don't want someone just sitting there saying, well, I've invested into this, I'm going to try and make it work when, you don't have the passion for it like I do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, as you can probably tell by the way that I speak and the way that I run events and stuff like that, people that have met me, they know that my passion is there. Like anything TCG involved, I'm there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys that I used to play with from that Masters period have now come down to the store and they've actually, I guess, branched out and told a lot more people about me. So I'm very appreciative of the people that I've known for the past couple of years. And then I'm also appreciative of the hundreds of new faces that I've met, like, and the relationships that I've built from this project. Like, I met you guys, obviously, because someone said to me, hey, try out Palms Off. Like, if you're getting started, then you might want to reach out to these guys, They're in the area, like Australian-owned, business. It's like, this could actually get you on the right track and start like somewhere. And, here we are now, obviously, we're still going, quite strong. And it's like someone seems to know someone else and it just keeps growing. And that's the thing that I actually really enjoy about this whole business itself.
Yeah. Like actually supporting the bridges rather than burning
Absolutely.
them is far more successul than,
Absolutely. And there are people out there like that do want to see you fail, and that's any business.
Yeah. Yeah, because the competition. So it happens, unfortunately, and some people just don't really like seeing people do well. It's just the nature of it, because whether it's their own self-consciousnesses or their own just cynicism, that's it. Yep. So I mean that's what we've experienced this in on both sides of the coin, but more so from a positive aspect of people going to the store like saying, hey, you should try this. I've probably never met them or met them once, but it's so cool to have that because we, probably made 3 outbound sales calls. Yeah. And we're so prominent now and it's just people actually vouching for the brand. Absolutely. And so that would be now happening for your store as well, which is awesome.
Yeah.
People are your best marketers. And if you're a genuine person, you're really good at what you do and you're passionate about it.
Absolutely.
And you're friendly and, you do the right thing by everyone.
Yeah. You get rewarded, right? That's how it is. Yeah, that's exactly
and that's how it should be. So, congratulations.
Yeah,
You're obviously ethical and done it in a really, really positive way.
Yep. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So before we sort of get into the wind downs, we're going to rip some packs like we always do. What have you got for us?
I did bring some One Piece packs. I feel a lot of people just kind of know packs as like Pokemon. And, when we see One Piece, it's probably one of, if not the biggest anime there is out there right now.
Yes.
It's been going on for 20-something years. I think 25 years now maybe. And a lot of people don't really know that it's a card game. Or like they can, and again, you might not play it, but you might want to collect it, right? These cards are amazing. The art on them is unreal. I think literally almost a year ago now, the creator signed Luffy cards and included them in a set.
Yep.
So for the fans and stuff like that of that, it's something that they were chasing.
I never watched it growing up.
Me neither.
But I knew a lot of friends that really did. I tried to get into it. I tried.
Bro. I think I started like 3 times, and I'm just like, I can't do this.
Probably really going to offend some people out there. Like I'm sure it's awesome, but like I've just
the latter episodes look amazing, but
absolutely
the first few are.
I will watch clips all day on Facebook. I will like read the lore. I will listen to like what people are talking about, but personally, I can't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a lot of time to dedicate to, particularly now. Yes, people are so busy. Like, particularly yourself now being a business owner. Welcome to the chaos. It's so fucking hard. And you take your work home with you as well. So it's sometimes even finding the time to wind down and actually switch your brain off is really hard.
Yeah,
incredibly challenging. And working full time and then doing the store. Yeah, your mind would be like,
oh yeah, it doesn't stop.
It
doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Luckily, I get to use my work time to invest into my
cards.
business time. So. That's a bonus, but
I'll let you pick. Maybe we'll do 1-1-1-1. So what one would you like to pick? I'll let you have first dibs.
Closest to me.
All right, I'm going to do 1-2-1-2. And so for the people, you told me off camera, but for the people who are watching or listening, what are the chase cards? Who are the chase cards through here? What are we looking
for? So you're kind of looking for the alternate art cards, right? So there's obviously your stock standard cards that look very basic. Nothing special about them. And usually they include about like 8 cards in a pack that are stock standard. And then the last 2 are the ones that you want to look for, but they're very detailed. Mm-hmm. They've got like an alternate art of like another card in the set, but there's a lot of detail in them and it's kind of like classified as like a hit. So it's like, getting that Holo Charizard that we were kind of speaking about.
Very Bandai-esque of those cards.
These are like not foiled. These are like very clean. Like you didn't end up getting a hit from anything. And even though sometimes like people look at this stuff and they're like, oh, wow, the art on this, or the gold border looks amazing. Like they've taken really good care of it. And it's like, well, this is 5 cents. So, it's like unlucky, Luckily, we do have one more each. So I am hoping, I'm just going to go for this one again. You didn't get anything. I didn't get anything. So, but I think that's what like kind of, persuades people to obviously grab more product, open boxes instead of packs now. You really don't get that dopamine hit, right? When you get a 50-cent card, it's kind of like...
Yeah, it's not. It's no longer a sometimes food.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, finally had a go at actually sitting down and having a play of this. I think playing Dragon Ball certainly helped.
Yep.
Obviously being Bandai, but yeah. It's hard for me to marry my mind to an IP that I... Don't really,
not involved with. I think that was the thing with me too, to be honest. It was like, oh, here we go.
Hey.
Oh, both of us. Nice. So this is, I guess, they call this a super rare, right? So these are about 8 in a box. And in a box, you get 24 packs. Mm-hmm. So you're going to get 8 different ones of these in a box. And we've obviously pulled 2 out of 4 packs now, which is pretty good for us. Mm-hmm. These are usually the ones that people search for because you're not guaranteed to get them every pack, whereas a lot of these common cards, that's the reason why they're called commons. Mm-hmm. It's what people need to play. Like these are your actual, I guess,
backbone cards, staples.
Yeah. Like these make your deck, right? Yeah. So these are the cards that you go out and search for, depending on what color you're playing, depending on anything like that. And I kind of feel like, you can kind of tell, like they obviously put a lot more effort into like the actual art of it, their foil. So it's kind of like, you feel like you've actually hit something now.
Yes.
Like now we actually feel like we've actually got something out of it, which is pretty good. I'm glad that we actually got something out of there. But, even though these look great, there's still better looking cards in the set that, people will then continue to chase. Like this Chopper and your Kaido will actually have an alternate art that has texture on it that they've put a lot more time and effort and work into that you would hope to see if you're a collector or you want to play the game and you want to really bling out your deck.
Big bling deck, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, sick. Trust me to pull like one of the tall bodies as well.
I was hoping you pulled an altar and I was going to be like, okay, great.
Swing hard, swing big. Yeah. The quality the Bandai typically come out with is for their cards is really good.
I feel like you're right. The card stock has obviously gone up.
Yeah.
They've been around for, wow. Like I think they made like 2 or 3 Dragon Ball games before.
A Panini one.
Yeah,
sort of stuff,
and it's Spore. And it's Bandai as well. Like there's such a global name now.
Yeah.
That it's kind of like crazy that, they can obviously put that much money into it.
Yeah, it's nuts. And all the artwork as well. There's so much time behind art.
Yeah, artists printing it out at the printers, sending it globally, making sure everyone's got it at the same time, so on and so forth.
And make sure everybody doesn't break embargo.
Exactly
never
right.
happens ever. With the shop and all the different TCGs that you have, are you finding a trend at the moment? Are you finding a shift? You're probably doing more fusion than anything else, I'd imagine, but are you finding a shift or a particular trend happening? And what are you excited for as well?
A lot of people seem to come and go. They seem to obviously populate a lot more when a new set releases. So sets are on a 3-month release schedule, and you see a lot more people rocking up when it's fresh. It's like, oh, this is exciting. A brand new product comes out. I get to look at all the new cards. I'm chasing all the shiny stuff. And then as time goes on, like they've maybe played it for like, 6 weeks straight, 7 weeks straight. And it's kind of like, well, I don't really want to play this again next week and I can't be bothered. So it kind of dies down. Like I feel like we used to get like, sometimes over 16 people for Fusion World. And it was kind of like now we might get like 6 to 8, but it's still the tight-knit people that love coming down and having a laugh and then talking to each other. So it still feels very homely and it's very good to catch up with them. And I feel like that's the same with every game. Like, Pokemon will have a new set and all of a sudden everyone's playing it. Or there'll be a really big event that we're allowed to run where it will actually give people points to qualify for like world championships, and they need to go and get these points and score an invite. So we'll see like, 20 or 25 people come up to an event, but then we won't get anyone for like 2 weeks because they're kind of burnt out. So it's a lot of stuff like that, but I've noticed a few games just aren't really kicking up either. Like, they're just, maybe they've already got their own location, and that's another big thing with opening a store. People already know where they want to play. People already have a routine. People might go Monday to this location and they might already go Wednesday to this location, or like they play sports on this day. And unfortunately I chose that day to run that event and they can't make it. So it's like, I try to chop and change. Like maybe I'll try and run it on this day and see if that's a bigger turnout. And then we'll try it on the weekend and see, maybe because it's like a kid-friendly game, parents might bring their kids and be like, oh yeah, we'll spend like 4 hours there and we'll kind of like learn, see all the other parents and stuff like that play. So it's very big hit and miss, and sometimes there is really no method to the madness. Like some weeks it's amazing, and then some weeks we might literally get like 1 or 2 people rock up for an event. So nothing that you can kind of calculate. It's just constant advertising, pushing, getting your name out there, people talking about you, and then just trying your best to really keep going.
Yeah, sick. And obviously being a player as well, do you collect as well to a certain degree?
I've stopped collecting a lot now that I've opened the shop, and people will probably notice that the website really hasn't even been updated in the past couple months either. Time management is like really hard, obviously juggling that and then updating the website. When you're uploading 160 different cards and then pricing them individually, it's like it's back of my mind. And then I've kind of transitioned into, I would rather the players that come to the store open the product than me opening the product and putting it on the website for them to pay. Like, again, kind of touching on like, when you see someone pack a really nice card, $20, $30, $50, whatever, because they spent $6. the fun of them being able to do that and me allowing that, not allowing, but me having that opportunity to give them rather than them going onto my website and being like, yeah, look, I need 4 of these cards. I'll spend $50 each. There's $200. You know, it feels better for me to kind of give them the opportunity to do that instead of me opening it and being like, unlucky, I've got none left. I needed it for singles.
Yeah.
So
well and good when supply is good, but
absolutely.
Yeah, but when supply is dwindled, it's just like, well, I'll make a choice.
Yeah. And if you know, almost anything about TCGs right now, the supply is like so thin. It's
inconsistent.
Oh, it's like you mentioned, like it's just like, you know, I would love to do singles again and cater to those people that don't want to buy and take the risk of trying to open it from a pack or like have the money to spend $200 on, you know, 4 cards and stuff like that. It's a very big balance that I need to kind of find. And once I guess we get more established and they start to allow us to order more product, then I will start really trying to make sure that I cover all bases as well.
Yeah. I mean, what was even your like ROI for opening a box on average as opposed to just selling it flat stick? Like, did you ever crunch numbers on that?
Yeah,
or?
Look, some boxes were definitely much better opening and getting the singles for. When One Piece was like really, really popular and you couldn't find it on the shelf anywhere you went, opening that stuff was like really good because people would just be paying crazy amounts on alt-art cards. But now, because you can find it anywhere, it's almost like...
Because once you factor it in, like, I've got to open it, I've got to sleeve it, I've got to scan them, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Once you factor in labor, I crunched the numbers years ago when we were selling cards. You know, this before Palms Off was primarily a brand. And I was like,
is it worth it?
Yeah. Not worth it. I could invest my time much better here. And, you know, in your instance, I'd sell it to these guys and then they'll talk more about my business and get me in for other stuff. The you know, whether or not you intend it to happen and this is probably not in the primary reason for doing so, it just comes out of, you know, ethical behavior, but doing it that way as well is more beneficial in a goodwill sense than just a straight up financial sense as well.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, you know, again, it depends on the product, like how sought after it is as well, right? Like, you know, we've got people like knocking on the door, you know, trying to be like, oh, I'll come to pre-release, I'll do this, I'll do that, so on and so forth. And it's like, you know that they're going to buy the box. But then sometimes if the set is like 1 month old or 2 month old and you've still got 12 boxes in the shop, well, I could have opened them to then sell the singles.
But now everyone else, they all got the cards.
That's exactly it. So that's why it's like a very thin line of like, which way do I go? And you kind of like got to justify, am I going to have 12 people come and buy 12 boxes, or is it better for me to open it up and then sell the singles and actually get money out of it? Because the longer it goes, and we've seen so many stores and, you know, we've been to so many conventions now, they just sell boxes for dirt cheap, like way, way under cost, like because they just need the money back. They need to move it and they know no one cares about it. But at a price of like $20 a box for 24 packs and you're paying less than $1 a pack, of course you would take that risk. Well, who wouldn't? You know, just for fun. $20 to just open 24 packs, even if you weren't chasing anything.
Pretty good.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. At least you get some dopamine by it.
Yeah.
And then it might be the thing that gets you into the next product.
Yep.
Might get you interested in the art, and now all of a sudden you want to collect certain cards, you know? So it's like, yeah, I guess there's ups and downs of each way. I would love to obviously be able to do both, and I think both avenues do have money. Because let's be honest, when you open, well, I'm sure you've seen some of the boys when you've come down to the shop, when they open like 6 boxes and they keep 10 cards, and the other 150 are just straight in the bin.
These boys are nuts, and I'll gas the boys up as much as I want. The lads are like incredible. Like everybody that comes to your shop, and they'll pull cards. And then they'll be like, oh, who needs this? Like, I don't need it. Like, you know, who wants it?
Yes.
And they just give it to them.
Yes.
And then even when a couple of people are like, oh, I don't have 2 freezers or I need this, I'm just like, here you go. Have these.
Yes.
Like, I might need them eventually. Just keep a tab on it.
Yeah,
otherwise, like if you get stuff that I need, I'll come back to you and we'll figure it out. It's the support network's really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're so. They'll buy it, chase the dopamine, and be like, "Oh, I've already got that."
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Do you want it? Do you have anything I need? No,
literally. If it's a $15, $20 card and they get upset when they pull it, I get confused.
Yeah.
It's like I don't need
just sell it and punch them my backs.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But then the thing is, like, you know, having the store and obviously being able to then sell again 10 commons, 20 commons, 5 rares, whatever it is. Like a package might cost you $50 of like 40 cards. And yeah, it might be a bit of work after you've sorted everything. Like it obviously gets easier, but that's $40-$50 of just stuff that people are about to throw in the bin.
Yeah.
So I look at that as well, and that's an availability for me to obviously make more money in terms of opening boxes. But again, the amount of work you put in can sometimes not be worth the return you get. So
it also has to be like aligning with your schedule. And as a business owner, it's like not often do you ever have the liberty of time.
Half an hour to just go and like grab all these? Yeah, absolutely.
And then you've got to reprioritize tasks. Like the boys hate it here because I'm like, all right, we're changing the plan today, guys, because we've got to reprioritize this and this. And they're just like, not again. It's small businesses, a lot of spanners and a lot of work. So yeah, it's hard. So before we wrap it up, I guess, what can we expect? I know you're transitioning from work to ramping the shop up a little bit more. But what other exciting things may we expect from you before we wrap it?
Like I've kind of touched on before, like we are getting into the collectible side of things. We're actually planning to go to Japan in the next couple of weeks, and to bring back just that exclusive kind of items that you can't find here. And then sometimes you do find them here, but they're like an arm and a leg because it's like no one has like a good direct source. Well, they do, and they're just trying to make a lot of money out of you. Because I don't know if you guys have been to Japan, but it's like that feeling when you get when you're in there. It's
overwhelming.
It's a different world. It is actually a different world than what we have here, and I want to bring pieces of that here. And, I want it to be like, oh, I saw this crazy ad in Japan, or like this item, like prime example, Digimon is like doing a collaboration with Monster Hunter.
Sick.
And those,
that's cool.
Sick.
Yeah.
And those pet Digimons now have the Rathalos and something else.
Rad.
And it's like,
that's cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I tell my mates and they're like,
what?
$250 for a Digimon? No way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I would love to obviously be able to offer that to people and be like, yeah, you know what? Actually, I can get that for $200. And then all of a sudden it makes more sense. It's like, you know what? Wow, I save $50.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Not a lot of people have the opportunity to go and travel to Japan. Or when they do, they kind of like get FOMO because they're not there anymore, or like someone else is going and it's like, can you get me this? Can you get me this? Like when you're there, if you see this,
it's like now it's a chore, now shopping for everyone. I'll tell you when I get back that I've been to Japan. Yeah.
So I really want to find a couple of really good sources over there to be able to bring that slice here. And then obviously we'll open, 10 to 6, Monday to Friday. That's starting from next year. I want to do it kind of fresh. Like I want to finish this year off with on a high. Just relax a bit before I go and just dive into like something else full time again. And then be able to, if people do want to come in during the day and they want to play cards or they want to play board games or like, they've got the day off or they work night shift, whatever it may be, now there is a place for you to come down.
Yeah.
And you can do whatever you want. Like there will be seats, there will be tables. We're not going to charge people like gold coin donation stuff or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or if there's a product that comes out and you want to get it at like 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to stop you. Let me open the door and I'll give it to you.
I'm personally really excited because we knock it at 4. And the amount of times where I'm just like, I'd love to just go down there and play.
Yeah,
but you don't have it until 6:30. So now it's like, I'll knock off at 4.
Yep.
I'll just walk
down.
down.
Exactly.
And it's daylight savings and it's beer weather. So I'm just going to rock up with a cooler, bro. Like,
awesome. No. And I think that's a very big thing for us. And I do hope that we can actually, build on that. And there's a lot of other things in the pipeline that we won't announce now, but we're kind of going to do this. You got like the 7 days of Christmas, like you do like an announcement like every day. We're kind of going to do something like that. So then, show everything that's in the pipeline as well.
Sick.
So like the biggest thing is that we will be open a lot more.
Sick.
And it will give people opportunity. And I guess you've probably seen the front of it. The sign is like tiny. That thing is getting upgraded.
Are you going to have a grand opening?
Probably should. Probably should actually. Like when we go full time, like maybe the first week we'll do like a sale on everything in the shop kind of thing and just get like people in.
We helped Mint out with a reopening, so just let us know. We'll
I did actually see the video. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that actually would be awesome.
Yeah,
we'll definitely
just give
plan
stuff
something
out and say hi and
that
plug in the
sounds good.
socials.
Yeah, we'll do that weekend or something like the first weekend of Jan because it'll be school holidays as well. So
perfect opportunity.
There'll be a nice, that's what I mean. Like when you do it like you plan it, obviously, and that's why it's no point doing it now. It would be nice to do like Boxing Day. But it's like, what can you do? Like, I don't want to stretch myself out and be like...
There's no point rushing it.
Impossible. Yeah. So, no, I think that's a great idea. And I think we should definitely do something together.
Yeah,
That'll
because
actually be
it's a
fantastic.
big celebration for you as well.
Yeah.
Like it's a big dream come true for you.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. So
Yeah, so it should be celebrated.
Yeah, done.
We'll be
Yeah,
in your nice.
sounds great.
What do you drink? Whiskey, wine? What? Everybody get something.
cider.
Cider.
I didn't want to say it. That's why
Right,
I took
we're
so
wrapping this up.
that's why I took so long to answer. I'm like, do I say it? Do I not say it? But, you know.
Go lower down the chart.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, thanks for coming down. I really, really appreciate it. It's been awesome having you, and I'll be seeing you very, very soon anyway. But as a sign off, I'm gonna plug us before we leave. So it's palmsoffgaming.com.au. But if you can buy it from Umit Shop, buy it from Umit Shop. It's looking a bit bare, mate. Come on.
Look, the thing is, once we obviously do this whole revamp, no, we want to obviously be able to, again, now that it's going into like a full-time thing, we need to think about the money coming in.
Yep.
You know, so it's like we will have a lot more shelves. We will have a lot more product. We will have a lot more ways to kind of give customers everything. And that website will be updated with everything.
Very good.
Thank you so much for having me. Obviously,
right.
It's been a pleasure.
Plug your shop, plug your Facebook, plug you, whatever you need.
Sure. Blacklist Cards and Collectables in Thomastown. You can find us on blacklistcards.com. We've got a Facebook page where we pretty much update everything. You can see our event schedule, any trading card games that you guys are interested in. We most likely have it. And if we don't, we're always more than accommodating to accept messages from people asking if we can get something in. And we'll always try to look out for you guys. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out. At the end of this year, we've got a lot of really cool announcements that I think people are going to be excited for. I'm excited for it, so I hope everyone else is excited for it, but there definitely will be some cool stuff to show off soon.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Dude.